5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, it says we're live already. Oh, okay. Oh, wait a minute. I wanted to. This is something that I made. I put it in drone therapy. I guess I gotta find the damn thing, don't? There it is. So let me do this. Y'all won't be able to hear it, but it's loud. Let me do that. I need to turn it down some, right? So how's everybody doing? As y'all see, Caleb's with us. We didn't think Caleb was going to be here tonight, but it turned out that yes, he is able to be here.
Forced. Forced to be here.
Well, because of the. There we go. Now I could move it. It was being a pain in my butt. All right, so let's see. I'm going to go through real quick and say howdy to people here. We had drone shots. Jody came in early. Good to see you. And John was saying that end of hobby is near. I don't know. We'll get into that a little bit. It's kind of like that. Kind of the theory. And there's Senior East Coast Thrills. Glad to see you, sir, early on. Maddie, I know it's not, I'm not saying that it's over. Like I said here, it's just kind of discussing all the different things that are going on. Like I said, the money is not an issue. We keep talking about $9 billion, and it turns out that the B is no longer the big B that we once thought it was, because as it turns out, China's gross domestic product is almost $18 trillion. And that's not even 2% of their gross domestic product. Gross domestic product. Rented lips. Okay. Stephen Drones, good to see you as well. Akira Show, glad to have you here. Rolling. Warren Drone Shots. Leonard Oglesby, glad to see you. And East Coast Drills is coming back in a little bit. Herman, glad to see you as well. Let's see. AZ Drone Dude, David, good to have you in the house. Mr. Bojack, good to see you. Charles Galuski, hey, what's going on? Drone Views Media, glad to see you as well. Johnny DRC, Justin, Drone Gaming. Oh, and congratulations on your new achievement. And you said that you were almost, what was it, 425,000? Anyway, but he's almost like halfway to the next one anyway already. Rolling. Mad Props Media, glad to see you as well. Okay, so now I'm going to try to share this. Do present, share screen. Let's see. I'm gonna go over here, right? Yeah, that one. This one. All right. Ooh, is it gonna be too loud? Let's see. Wait a minute, that's wrong button here. We can still talk.
Oh, yeah. Talk. Hi.
Hi, Bill.
I was happy the way it came out, though. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, it looks nice.
See, I was stalling. See, finally, Ron gets here.
Sorry, fellas. Clean up the dinner dishes.
Oh, I totally understand. I had to put in another load of clothes into the dryer to take care of that.
The housework never ends.
Yeah, the honeydews never end. So, as you can see, Caleb's with us, Ron's with us, Rod's with us, and the discussion is, this is the end, and it's not something that we're trying to say. I did the intro. I'm not trying to say. I've always said that I think the hobby itself is going to become too expensive for consumers to continue in, and when it gets to that point, I think companies are going to walk away, kind of like Skydio, kind of like Parrot, kind of like, pretty much what we got. 3DR Solo, who's already gone under. They were one of the early ones. Skydio's already left the market because they can't compete with DJI. So that's my thing, my thought on it. That's why I think it's going to disappear. Plus, there's some other interesting facts that may or may not have an influence on that. And Rod is more in depth and understood of that, so he's going to be talking more about that in a little bit. But first, I wanted to roll around and see what's going on with everybody, and starting with Ron, the latecomer.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in tonight. I'm glad to see everybody out there in the chat. I think we got a good show for you tonight. I do know, late breaking news that Bill hadn't mentioned, not remote ID has been delayed until March 16th. Is finally official now, so I guess that's good news. Good news for some. We're waiting on modules and so on. So yeah.
Yeah, so this is the end of remote ID in 2023.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So we had another end, but I still think that things are going okay. So Rod, give your input and just kind of steer us in a direction. So, and we'll just go in from there.
You're the one that warped what I said that one
I
night to
didn't
turn
warp
to turn it into this.
No,
When
I've
I
said the same thing before.
When I suggested that, it looked like Autel was probably going to do what Skydio was doing, and then that's when you came up with this. It's the end.
I've said this more than once though, because, and I think that DJI eventually will walk away from drones because they don't make enough money there. They bought Hasselblad for a reason. They're going to take their technologies and stuff because we've seen them working with cars and stuff like that. And I think eventually we're going to evolve to the point to where they're so expensive that only rich people will actually own one. And then the rest of us will go and pay a fee to like fly one for a period of time. And then, take your SD card with you and leave. But
There's
it will
one
be
thing
more
that
like
blows that theory up.
What?
Hubson.
What about Hubson?
That they're around and they're producing a cheap drone.
Yeah, but what happened here? See, we're talking about the resurgence. The thing about it was how many people here, show of hands, how many people actually have a Hubson or EXO and are still flying? Well,
They're still in business, though. I get what you're saying, but they're still around.
As well as FEMI. Somehow they still make enough
FEMI.
money to survive.
FEMI both.
I don't think they're going to be ready by March. I think they're going to have maybe a third of the units for what they got now. Only the 1%ers will be able to fly. Well, I like Dale's company. I think Dale will. It'll be. But the thing about it is he won't ship it to you and you fly it. Dale will have to go with it, and then there'll be certain areas you can fly at under certain circumstances. Like the way it is now, if you're a pilot in command, you have to stand there while they fly, and you have to be right there. And then you'll have to wait, and then the next person will come in, and you'll pay for that privilege, and you'll have you'll get your data and from your SD card, and then you'll leave the drone there and you'll go home. Like they may work it out. Justin's messing with you, Rod.
Hey, Bill.
What? What about Caleb?
Ask Caleb.
Ask Caleb.
You're doing like last week. You're going around and then you forget about Caleb.
Oh, Caleb. He was telling us he was getting fries and it was kind of loud. Didn't you see the private chat?
Yeah, I'm back now.
I missed that part.
Okay,
they got fries out there.
Yeah,
he's waiting on the ferry. Okay, so now give your input, Caleb.
On what? What did I miss? I couldn't hear you when I was in there.
This is what I was trying to tell. Okay, so we were talking about how, or me personally, I was thinking about how what I think is going to happen with the hobby and why I think it will eventually die out is because drones will become more and more and more expensive. People won't be able to afford them. Even parts to build them will become more and more expensive, making it more and more difficult to build them to the point to where only very wealthy people will continue to build and continue to own them. Or it'll be a company kind of like Dale's, and Dale will actually take you out like in a group, 5 or 6 people. You all will have to sign your little piece of paper. Each person will get to fly the drone for an allotted period of time. You'll pay your $125 fee, and you'll walk home with your SD card. And that's the way it'll be. Go ahead.
Those seem kind of mutually exclusive. First, you're saying things are going to be too expensive. That's why we can't fly it. The next time you're saying it's a government elitist thing, and they're just going to make it so you can't fly.
No. I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say it's going to like people. I think a lot of people have already dropped off because of the prices have gone beyond their reach. I know a lot of people that used to fly the little toy drones and stuff, but they've become so horrible now that you can't depend on any of them. Even a piece of poo like Hubson, we saw when they came out with stuff. Now, granted, they were the first one with the the front obstacle avoidance and all this stuff, but then Bill went all flat on her, but it still is not working up to par, and they're charging you almost as much as you would pay for a DJI product. Now, what was the new one that was coming out from? What's the other company from C-Fly? C-Fly.
C-Fly's got a C-Fly Faith Mini 2 on the verge of coming out.
Exactly.
But I believe the price is going to be under $250 if you believe the rumors, Bill.
Okay, here's another point. They're not the low-cost manufacturer they once were.
Yeah, so I mean, the other side of this is that if you look at it like that, then every single thing going up in price means that this doesn't really have anything to do with drones anymore.
Well, I'm saying that drones are such a teeny tiny slice of the pie. It'll be one of the first things they bail on. They're going to look at it and go, we're not making enough money for the time, effort, and tech and research that we're putting into this. We're only getting a tiny bit of profit back for all the effort we're putting in. So it's not really. The prices. Yeah, until the point where less and less people can be in the hobby, but people who are in the industry can. To the point where it finally becomes only super, super rich people can afford their own drone, or like the four of us would get together one weekend and go hire someone like Dale. We would all pay like a $500 fee for a package, and then we would go fly and come home with our SD cards, and that would be it. Okay, and eventually those would die out too.
You're then assuming that chip shortages are going to get so bad that drones are just going to keep rising in price over and over and over and over and over and over and over forever.
To the point that where they stop making them.
Really. So you can't afford a cell phone either.
Well, John wants to hear Ron's input. Wait a minute. Sorry, John. Wait. Here we go. John wants to hear Ron's full analysis.
Full analysis.
All right. Give us your 2 cents.
I don't know if I have a full analysis. I mean, I know I know the chips that they need, are very expensive. They're still hard to get. They're going way up in price, and there may not be enough to go around, especially for low price drones. So I see Bill's point, and maybe we'll only see more expensive drones.
Pointing at Ron.
That will eliminate.
Ron did his homework.
Who wanted to fly, under $500 drones or whatever. So I could see that happening. How about cars right now? Have you been in the market to buy a car now? The cars with the high interest rates and the car makers jack car prices up. And you know what's not available when you go car shopping is the budget cars. Like you go to Toyota and Honda, they're cheaper cars than ones that are not in stock. They don't have very good inventory of their cheap ones. They have good inventory of their high price ones. So, kind of what Bill's described is kind of happening in the car market right now, So, I can see happening. Bill, let me ask you a question. What kind of timeline are you thinking on this, Bill?
Oh, now see, I'm not thinking that it's going to happen like overnight.
Yeah, see, I think that's what people think. People think you say this is it's gonna all happen here. You're looking at something 5 to 10 years out, right?
Yeah, at least 5 to 10 years out. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, I really and truthfully hope that I'm still coherent enough in 10 years to be able to fly a drone. And I'm trying to be Ron.
That is also somewhat flawed because you're taking the macroeconomics of what's going on right now and projecting that it's going to continue what it's doing all the way out, which is not true. Everything that's going on right now is so massively COVID.
You see this, Caleb?
Skewed. The numbers are really massively skewed right now because of what went down with COVID. And that's all going to normalize. It will go back to a little bit like normal. It'll be supply and demand, and eventually the chip stuff will come down in pricing. But you're looking at it based on what's going on today, which will not be.
Caleb, did you see this?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Caleb has been to my house. It's not no mansion in the Hamptons.
But it's better than mine. It ain't bad.
And that was
to Rod's point a little bit here about the industry normalize themselves. And also another thing, now that it looks like the U.S. is determined to make chips in the U.S. and whatever, and maybe the more U.S. made chips, maybe that be able to give the opportunity to rise to an American drone maker, somebody that's interested in just normal drones and not like tracking drones or some other kind of niche drone. Just a normal drone could maybe a company could rise up in the U.S. with homegrown chips.
Yeah, and I mean
And
that
that's the
gives
other
good
part.
incentive.
That's hilarious. I like this one.
It's not just U.S. either. Europe did the same thing and had a similar chips program. So Bill obviously didn't read all the articles that I sent him on Facebook today. But
No, I saw that you were talking about how that by 2025 we were going to be up to.
So 2024. So in 2024,
okay,
TSMC, who's the largest silicon manufacturer in the planet, they're in Taiwan, will be opening more of their Phoenix fab and bringing it on 2024. It won't come up online until 2025. Intel has their new $20 billion fab that's going up in Ohio that will be probably 2025 as well. So you've got just a ton of capacity that will soon come online here in the next 24 months, give or take, that's going to change the supply chain problem. And part of what I was trying to point out, that even DJI is being impacted by this whole chip pricing thing, is the fact that they keep using this 1/1/3 sensor in like everything now. And that's because they had to buy it in such large volumes to get in line. NVIDIA and AMD were literally consuming the entire manufacturing process of TSMC. So if you weren't NVIDIA, Intel, or AMD, you literally weren't getting chips manufactured. If you wanted to order something, you had to order in pretty big quantities to even get in line to get your chips manufactured. So I really think the fact that DJI keeps using this one sensor over and over again is a symptom of they've become the victim of the whole chip shortage thing as well. And I don't think
they had to put in a large order to even get.
They had to put a large order in order to get it at a reasonable price, even for them, as big as everybody says they're in. DJI is a freaking drop in the bucket in the semiconductor market. End of story.
Yeah.
The car thing was a completely different thing with the chips. The chips in the cars are using basically a 28 nanometer technology. And there were 2 of those plants in Japan that burned down last year. And that is what really caused the massive chip shortage in the auto industry, was that they're using older technology to manufacture their chip, and 2 of the plants burnt down. And that's what really got them backed up. So it's not a lack of capacity of producing the new stuff. It was a lack of capacity of producing the old stuff.
I seem to remember somebody talking about plateauing too.
Yeah. Well, drones have obviously plateaued. So, this whole chip shortage thing and the ability to order in volumes, right? So obviously DJI had to order that sensor in a big, large, honking volume. So there's only so many that they can order, right? So if you're the CEO of Skydio or the CEO of Autel and you're going, hey, I can only order 50,000 chips, right? I can order 50,000 sensors. Where are you going to put those sensors? Are you going to put those sensors in something that you're making $100 on? Or are you going to put those sensors and use them in something you're making $10,000 on? Right. This is why Skydio made the choice that they did. I'm pretty certain this is what is going on with Autel. The only new stuff you see out of Autel is all enterprise stuff right now.
Right. That's why you're not seeing any Nano 2 or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. They're using what few chips they have in their biggest profit margin. Just like you were talking about the cars, Ron, with, the hardest cars to get are the cheap cars.
Yeah.
Well, they're putting the allocation in the ones where they have the highest profit margin. I mean, it's basic business math that is going on here, and it's all being driven by the chip shortage worldwide. And
Yeah,
that
of
chip
course,
shortage
it's
worldwide
business
is gonna
management,
end
but
in
it's not always smart management. Like a lot of car dealerships are inundated with
100%.
expensive cars nobody wants to buy now.
Yeah.
And the same thing with drones. There'll be some point where companies will have a lot of expensive drones sitting on the shelf,
And
and
this
not a lot of demand for them.
and this has happened multiple times in the chip industry. There's been cases where memory prices were high as hell, and then all of a sudden everybody started manufacturing, and there was so much on the market that it tanked the price on them that they were almost giving them away under manufactured costs to give them away. You're going to see the same sort of reaction here as all the new chip plants come online in 24, 25, that the prices will start coming back to reasonable, and you'll get the Autels and some of the others probably going, okay, we'll go back into consumer because, I can order 100,000 chips for what I can,
Here's my
5,000
thing.
for today.
I wanted to ask about. We've seen the rumored prices. Okay, John's talking about that there's not really a chip shortage now. So, but we've heard the rumored prices about how the Fly More package for the Mini 4 Pro is going to be like $1,210. That's cheaper than the Mini 3 Pro is, right? Ain't it? Ain't that what the price is saying?
Well, I think 1120 was it like what Igor had 1129 for the Fly More? Is that what he had 1129?
I thought it was like euros, and then when you
but
transfer,
euros are pretty close to dollars right now.
there's like a it's close, yeah. I'm trying to see. Let's go Mini.
So I guess, Bill, to answer your question on that one is, what's in the Fly More? The battery. So the odds are maybe battery prices have come down because of
but of course, Bill, you know what
whatever.
recently in the Fly Mores, they've taken things out like ND filters and things that we used to get in Fly Mores are no longer there. Charging bricks.
We didn't always get them though, man. We didn't. It was like only a couple
hit or miss. Yeah,
it was only a couple of iterations that we got them, and it was mainly with the Air. But we did
Apple,
get some.
They don't supply the charger anymore with their phones. You have to go buy.
Well, they're switching to USB-C anyway.
Yeah, and I tell everybody, I wirelessly charge my iPhones anyway, so I mean, not a big deal to me. But Rod, that's to your point. Apple just had a big announcement. They got a whole bunch of new iPhones come out, Rod. There's no chip shortage over at Apple because they have the power to buy in bulk.
They
make their own too.
The big guys who have the ability to buy in big volumes are jumping to the front line.
Caleb's gonna be on this one. You ready, Caleb? Wait a minute. It's the one that Justin talked about. Here we go. Ready, Caleb? I know you want this one.
Yep. Yeah, are we ready for another Standing Rock?
Yeah, here we go.
And it's not Southwest, it's Northwest. It's Nevada and Oregon border.
But still, the whole point is.
Yeah. And it's on like sacred Indian land, of course. So that'll be a fun little battle. At least it's in like a clay deposit or whatever, so it's supposed to be way easier to mine, which is good sounding. But I'm definitely waiting to hear more data about all that. I'm kind of curious.
How much of that do we actually own when we get it dug up?
So last I heard, China company owns 22%, I think.
Before it's even out of the ground.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But I mean, General Motors owns like 8%. That's good, right?
Oh, and I did hear that they have made advances in lithium sulfur batteries, and you can charge the shit out of a lithium sulfur battery, and then it just trickles out and it has power for hours and hours and hours. But they were having trouble to keep it bonded, and they've come up with some new formulation, I think. Go ahead, Rod. What?
They now have a sand battery that they're looking at. That's pure sand, no lithium at all.
I remember hearing about that a few years ago.
Yeah.
The hypotheticals.
Yeah,
that's cool. What they're getting there.
It stores the heat.
So this is a good example of so you're saying drones are going to be priced out of the market, completely gone because of whatever. So electric cars are at the point now where, hey, now that we've been seeing them, we realize they work and stuff, and that it's a thing coming. people are looking at that. They're looking at other battery sources because people were like, well, the batteries, we're going to be screwed. It'll never work. Now we're coming up with other battery sources. The same thing would happen with drones if they were really to get in the situation where like, oh, we can't afford to make them anymore. What would happen is somebody would figure out a way to make a cheaper one, and then they would start selling that, because that's the way these new technologies work. Once something is ingrained into our societies like this, if we can't figure out how to use it with what we got, we invent something new, and it's just not going to go away.
And by the way, you know how Hubson and Femi are getting their chips? I'd bet on it. I don't know it personally, but I would bet this is how they're doing it.
I was actually wondering about that.
They're buying up the leftovers that the phone manufacturers aren't using, that they purchased, and then they don't need, because they're all over there in China. So they're just buying it from the Android phone guys who are not using their allocation or whatever. And they're using whatever chips they can lay their hands on. So they get them extra cheap. They get them extra cheap. It's not the newest, latest, greatest chips, but you know, it's sort of like the dollar store version of chips that they're going
right. They
buying.
went to the flea market and got
exactly.
their chips.
Yeah, exactly. That's how they get some of the pricing that they're doing, and it helps those companies out that were sitting on inventory that don't have anything to do with that inventory, so they unload it to Hubson and Femi, and they're just scarfing up whatever they can find.
That would make a lot of sense.
You have to remember, all the cell phones are all made over there, so what happens to all the parts that aren't used?
Yeah.
Hubson, Femi, little companies like that.
D-Fly.
Yeah, they're like, you know, they're like the flies on the manure kind of thing.
They clean up the you know what. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They clean up the you know what. It's just how the industry works, and it's not just the chip industry. There's lots of industries where there are companies that come in after the fact and buy up the used stuff, whatever that stuff may be, so that they can turn it into other stuff.
Yeah. So do we think, you know, back to the thing, do we think drones are going to rise in price more so than say kind of like lateral products, the tech products or whatever? Are they going to rise more than okay, well, let's relate to cameras. Since drones are basically flying cameras, you know, the price of a full frame DSR is more than a drone, right, Rod? I mean, even without
100%,
lens, it's more of a drone or whatever. And they you know, use a lot of the same parts, right, Rod? They use the chips that use, you know, camera sensors and so on. Will they rise to where people, a regular person can't afford a camera?
Yeah,
well, you know, one of the things that we haven't talked about that kind of goes into that too is DJI has a monopoly. They can just keep raising prices.
Right.
Yeah, and it's the thing. Okay, the Mini 3 Pro with the RC is $909 right now.
Yeah.
Okay, and the kit is an extra $249, making it, you know, what, say around $1,150. Something like that. And that's pretty much what you were saying. That isn't that what you said? That
Igor had somewhere like, if maybe it was 1179, so 11 something, but 1111 is what the price he quoted on Twitter.
It was about $90 more expensive than what it is today.
Well, look at this bill. The base kit they're saying is $799. Now the base kit now is like $750. Whatever. So the base kit went up like $50.
Did you see this where Igor put up? He said the good news from @DroneNR in the new DJI Fly package, they found a line in the code mentioning DJI Mini 4 Pro. And
I didn't really quite understand it. I did see it.
Yeah, he's saying it's okay. Like so it's imminent. It's almost. I'm beginning to wonder if we're going to get a soft release now. The way they're acting, it's ridiculous. So,
I mean, really, if you think about it, almost everything's a soft release now. It just shows up on the website one morning with a teaser email. 2 days
yeah. Well, because again, I say it's just not enough. They don't have enough money making it there. Go ahead, Rod. Sorry.
I was going to say, Ron, did you see Lauren's comment last night? Because, you know, you guys were talking about how little difference is between the Mini 3 and the Mini 4, right? And Lauren put in a comment about, oh, wait till they release the first firmware.
Yeah,
and see
I did
everything.
see that. Yeah.
And you know what that's got me wondering is why the rush? Why not wait until you
Our
have that
gas is
firmware
finally
done
coming
and
down.
release it and just release it with that firmware? Who the hell is pushing them? That seems
Right.
like
Well, why are they on a
completely to
deadline? You're
screw up
right,
on their
Rod.
part.
Yeah.
Gee, if I don't ship the Mini 4 by the end of September, Autel's gonna like kick my butt. I don't think so.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Wait
There are
until
some
wait until that new firmware is ready.
There are some strange choices they make. You know, that Mavic 3 release with, you know, sort of missing things. That kind of made sense because Christmas, right? They wanted to get it out before Christmas, and they knew they weren't going to have the
And
firmware
they had their whole fan base, Rod, screaming for that Mavic 3 for a long time. The difference is nobody's
100%.
screaming for a Mini 4
No.
Pro. Everybody's happy with their Mini 3 Pros.
Not
So
many people
why
screaming
the
for an
rush
Air
on
3.
DJI's part?
Well, and dude, how confusing is that name? A Mini 4 Pro. It comes out before the Mini, or it comes out before the regular 3, but it's also the Pro model of the Mini. So is it actually just a 4? Like, what are they gonna do to make the Mini 4 Pro now?
Well, we've seen all the specs, and there's really nothing there. Not
Yeah,
really.
Bill, I
They're
got
gonna make the
I
Mini
got
4
an
Pro S.
incremental drone update warning here on my phone right now.
Incremental warning.
Yeah.
Now this is even tinier than the Air 3, I do believe. Although if they give us the stack backlit sensor, maybe.
I don't know that it's going to be stacked.
Yeah.
I think
That's a big
same-
baby, Bill.
It's going to be that same 1/1/3 that is on the 3X on the Mavic 3
Air 3.
Pro, is on the
Okay.
3X telephoto on the Air 3, that is on the Mini 3 Pro. It's the same 1/1/3.
The Action 4.
It's the exact same, and the Action 4. I told you they bought a bazillion.
They cornered the market on those chips. Yeah.
They're the only ones that have the 1/1/3.
They had to in order to get their order in to get it manufactured. They had to buy in such volumes that they just had to. That's why I keep telling you, even DJI isn't so big.
I like
they're
this
not being
with
impacted.
The Mini 4 Pro Cine.
Yeah. So on
With
the
a
pricing,
2 terabyte hard drive.
yeah, on the pricing thing, Bill, the Mini 3 Pro with the RC is $909. The Mini 4 Pro with the RC is $999. It's about $90 more expensive, roughly.
Yeah.
And you have to look at that.
Really, it's a price bump, but not an unreasonable price bump.
You also have to remember the RC2 has got two additional antennas and an extra transmitter,
you got a much better
and an extra
controller.
receiver.
Good point, Rod.
So it's got a few more electronics inside that RC2.
And let me remind the folks, Bill, the big price bump came the last time around from the Mini 2 to the Mini 3. We already saw the big price bump built in last year.
Yeah.
See, there it's written
Bill's
into the code.
Sell me a Mini with RTK and a mechanical shutter.
We wish they would bring back the mechanical shutter.
Global shutter. That's the next technology to come to drones. It's not. It's kind of in the there's a couple of experimental cameras.
What's the difference between mechanical and global?
Here's the guy that came up with the code.
Yeah, the difference is right now on sensors versus the mechanical is right now it's like interlaced versus de-interlaced, right? On monitors is kind of really the closest thing technology wise that people would understand the difference. On a global right now that reads the center, the way it's reading the sensor, it's reading it a line at a time, kind of thing, just like your TV thing. On a global shutter, it reads the entire sensor once. So there's literally no roll. There's zero rolling shutter, which is the exact same effect you get with mechanical. So the way to get rid of the mechanical shutter is just go to a global shutter. Global shutters right now, they do have them in the smaller sensor sizes. So I don't know why that hasn't come to drones. Drones would be a natural place to use the global shutter on.
Okay, y'all see that I highlighted that?
So I don't understand. So
That's 1,129 euros, which computes out to $1,212.59 USD.
Okay, so that's still like a reasonable increase over the previous.
Yeah,
About $90, roughly.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Caleb. You were saying?
Yeah, so all the mapping drones run with mechanical shutters to get rid of the rolling shutter effect. So I'm a little confused. I thought mechanical and global were the same thing.
No. Mechanical is a mechanical shutter. Global shutter just means that it reads the entire sensor once. That it can read the entire sensor all at the same time instead of reading it like interlaced.
So why are
On
the
the
mechanical shutters on like the Enterprise so much better then?
Because we don't have global shutter in the camera sensors yet.
What devices are using global shutters right now, Rod?
I don't know that any
There
camera actually has it in it. I've read articles that
so it's a new technology that's coming, but it's not yet arrived.
Right. They have them. They have the sensors. They're in like 1-inch sensor sizes at this point. It's still kind of experimental obviously with all the chip shortage stuff going on, you're not going to see this right now, right? Because of the pricing of manufacturing new stuff and the designs. So that's the next tech that is going to hit cameras and sort of be the next generation of big difference maker in the cameras. It's not gonna do squat necessarily to the quality other than get rid of the rolling shutter problem. It's pretty much what it's going to do, but it means nobody will have a mechanical shutter. You won't need it because we're reading the entire sensor in one pass.
Right.
And then the next tech that is still being in R&D for cameras, and apparently they're getting pretty close to being able to do it. And so the biggest problem that they have in sensors right now is the fact that sensors are flat. So that's why you have multiple curved lenses in the lenses. This is part of what makes the lenses so stinking bloody heavy, is because you're trying to take an image and a spherical image and try to project it onto a flat sensor to read it and get it to kind of all work out. So what they're working on is a manufacturing process to actually make the sensor curved. So that will be coming probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. In the next 4 or 5 years, we'll probably see the first generation of curved sensors, which will completely, utterly change the world of camera lenses.
And that'll hit DSLR type mirrorless cameras first, right?
I would presume so, but man, that would be a godsend for drones because you need less lens, right, for the camera.
Right, you can put smaller lenses. Yeah.
What about that tech Apple came up with?
Yeah, Rod, explain that thing. Apple's iPhone Pro Max has a 5x telly in it without any moving parts, or
there's like it somehow goes through 4 times or something.
But we missed it. We missed the headline here. It's optical. It's not digital. It's optical.
Right. So how does that happen? Could we do that in drones?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Bill, you're right. Put that in my Mini 5 Pro.
You know, that's what I keep saying is, for me personally, for my use case, what I really want in the next drone, not some of the master shots and all that other kind of screwy stuff. I need something with a really good optical zoom for the rocket launches.
Get the highlight.
I need something that has range.
That's not 10 feet long.
Yeah, that's not 10 feet long. Exactly.
I think the new iPhone. Okay, maybe we're different because the new iPhone made me cream. It did, because I'm this is the 13. So for me, I always wait to.
Yeah.
I always wait to on my
phone. That's good strategy.
So for me, oh yeah.
Give me that 5x optical.
Keep in mind, that camera is using quad bear, so they're also playing some monkey games with quad bear to count the extra focal.
Did you see it was talking about the night photography, how the subject, granted, was very crisp and had a lot of detail, but the rest of that pic was blown all to shit. Did you notice that? Did you notice that when they were showing it?
I'll
Yeah.
just say this: Samsung's 200 megapixel sensor is way better.
So the mechanical shutters
Yeah.
are mechanical removable shutters, by the way. You were talking about the electronic rolling shutter.
Yeah. The electronic rolling shutter that's in normal sensors. So
Yeah,
with
so we have the
global shutter,
mechanical and shutter, or mechanical and global are the same thing.
they equate
That's
to
what I
the
was
same
confused.
thing. They're not physically the same thing. Mechanical has a real shield on it, where global shutter, there is no shield. It's a sensor just like the sensor is today. It's just that it's reading the entire sensor all in one pass. So there'll be zero need to put the physical mechanical shutter on there. The
And now
effect is
is the
the
global
same.
shutter cheaper to produce than the mechanical shutter for these companies, Rod?
Probably not, because it's the speed of the electronics, right? You're talking about throughput and PCIe, whatever, with X amount of lanes to read that many megapixels of data in 5 milliseconds or less, probably. So, yeah, it's going to be expensive.
Gotcha.
So see, we're talking about everything being expensive. So drones are going to be so expensive that only rich people can own them, and eventually they'll be gone and only in the skies for commercial purposes.
Again, that presumes that the pricing going up today is going to continue to go up, and it's not, because as soon as all those chip plants come online, the price of chips will start driving down the other direction. So,
well, we're talking about the mirror feature too. It's not like everybody needs a global
think
shutter.
that DJI is going to stop
well,
raising
yeah,
the price.
and that too. Obviously, global shutter, just like stack sensors. Stack sensors came out on the high-end only cameras to begin with. So,
I'm trying to keep up with that one.
Yeah,
oh, and the drone community has to say, yeah. No, you don't have to identify. You can. I know you don't like DJI. You would soon fly one into a brick wall. I mean, I get it.
And
I'm not going to deny.
And there's one more monkey wrench to throw into your monkey wrench, Bill.
Okay, throw into my monkey wrench.
Mm-hmm. and there's a company that released something recently that I think they got their eyeballs on this market a little bit. Who builds all the sensors? Who builds most of the sensors?
You mean one? You mean the company name or the country?
What company? What company builds most of the sensors?
Samsung.
Sony.
Oh, camera
Sony
sensors. Camera sensors. Yes.
Sony, and Sony just released that new tiny full frame camera. It's for the Air Peak, but I'm telling you, sure as I'm sitting here, they're going to create a smaller version of that Air Peak, and it would not surprise me if Sony would try to take their stuff and jump into. I mean, they're already in the drone market. They made Air Peak for themselves to shoot movies with, but I mean, they've built the software platform, and now they can use that to sort of bring it downstream. And keep in mind, Sony makes the PS5, so they're used to the consumer market and the volumes and setting up the supply chains and being able to do those kinds of things. And they're already supplying, right? Because the sensors on DJI are the Sony IMX sensors that they're using on this camera drone. So it would be pretty easy for Sony to use their big weight and just like jump in all of a sudden.
Yeah, especially with the new chipsets or the new chip factories. It'd be easy for them to grab incentive from the government to go ahead and use those.
Yep. So there could be another big guy jump into this market and put a big hurting on DJI and her. You know, just as a throw it out there theory, you know, everybody's like,
Sony,
would Apple buy
Sony.
DJI?
Sony?
What if Apple creates their own?
But didn't Sony already make something?
The
They
Apple
do
Watch
the
that you
AirPeak.
tap it
Wait,
and it
wait,
just
wait,
takes
wait.
off.
The AirPeak to carry their full frame cameras.
Right,
Yeah,
right. So
That
But of
AirPeak is
course, you know, I
$9,000.
mean,
It's
that's
cheaper than the
like
Inspire.
Roger. That's for like a pro market only. No hobbyist wants to fly that AirPeak thing around.
what was it?
It's got its limitations of being a first generation kind
Right,
of
right.
thing where it
A
doesn't
proof
fly.
of concept. You're right. You're right.
But it
So-
works. They're using it on their movie sets.
Right, I get what you all are saying, but what I'm trying to say is we've already pointed out that it's not the huge money maker that we're all thinking it is, simply because it's billions of dollars, because billions is basically just a B now. So it's not, like I
Not
said,
to
when I was
everybody.
comparing, I just don't, like I said, I don't see it really mattering enough, because you think of all the R&D, all the tech time that they spend on it, all the, you know, it's their end product coming out the backside. They're gonna have to raise the price each and every time because of the time. I mean, eventually it's gonna be, they're gonna have such, like Rod was saying about it being plateaued. How are you going to shove more than what they already have into that package? Do you really
Why
think
do
that
you
we're
do
going to make smaller sensors that will make a bigger picture? Or we're just going to
No.
have
Why do
a
you need
different
to?
kind of, go ahead, what?
I'm just saying, why do you need to?
I'm trying to get you all to talk so that I can highlight more chat. That was the whole purpose for the subject. Everybody's like, what did you do this for? I'm like, so
So
you
to
all will
answer that
talk.
question in sort of a business way, Bill, one of the reasons that it makes sense for Sony is they're making X percentage on those sensors that they're selling to those other companies. And so if they made their own, instead of whatever discount they're giving those companies, they just pocket that money. There's financial incentive for them.
Like they'll be
do it.
double dipping on their own tip there.
Yeah, exactly. They got some incentive to put their own customers out of business.
So
But
if,
no,
if somebody like Sony jumped in the market, Rod, that would help, you know, I don't know, stabilize prices where a company like DJI just couldn't keep raising if they had competition.
And here's the other part is all the camera guys right now, the camera market has been going downhill because of the freaking cell phone market.
Well,
So-
the consumer, not the high end full frames, but all the little pocket cameras have gone down, not disappeared.
So it would not surprise me if the camera guys don't jump into the drone market to try to sell more cameras. I wouldn't put it past them.
But you think
most
Sony
expensive part's
only
the
develop
camera.
drones that carry their full frame cameras?
Who knows? In the case of Sony, they make all those sensors. So would they care whether they make a 1 inch or
Who cares? Yeah, who cares
Micro
what
Four
the
Thirds?
drone has on what camera?
Yeah,
as long
they'll
as it's
build
there.
whatever. They have them all. So pick which one they want to throw on there.
Right.
They
But
could
the
do
fact
the.
that they made that small full frame, somebody over there has got to be thinking about putting that on a smaller version of the AirPeak.
Yeah, and you said
For
before,
only
like
$4.5
about a
grand.
company like Sony, they have deep pockets and whatever, so they can afford to get in there and not make a lot of money right away.
Yeah, they have very deep pockets.
The end of you not being in chat because you're here. What's up, Gary?
Hey, Bill, how will this affect Gary's hand-built FPV drone community with these parts, this increase in prices?
See, John knows. This is like kind of one of my ongoing things. I've said the same thing for years. I just think that it's going to become an expensive hobby to where only rich people do it, and then eventually they don't make them anymore. They don't build them anymore. Just people just will say, screw it. I mean, that's just my theory. It's just my opinion. It doesn't, and plus, it obviously gives you all a shitload to talk about, and I get to highlight more chat.
And there's more from an economic standpoint. There's more that could go down that will completely change how this works, right? You know, you see all the new chip technology, and that's all in like CPUs, GPUs, and all those kinds of things, right? So they keep making that smaller and smaller and smaller. Eventually, those fabs that are making the 10 nanometer, the 7 nanometer, and well, now the 3 nanometer, eventually those fabs won't be making at that size, won't be making chips for NVIDIA and Intel and all them because they've gone to the smaller size. So what you'll see is sort of the follow-on older chips. They will start manufacturing, they'll start manufacturing a Bluetooth chip on 7 nanometer, which means they can produce exponentially more amount of those on the same 300 nanometer or 300 millimeter wafer that they're using now to make them. So their prices could come down through downscaling and using the smaller technology that will get cheaper as the leading edge technology goes to the smaller and smaller die sizes. They'll use that old equipment to start making chips that are not on that bleeding edge, which means you're talking a 10 to 100 fold. You go from 28 nanometer that the car industry is using down to a 7 nanometer kind of thing. You're talking 4 or 5 fold more chips on the same silicon. So you're sort of dropping the price by 4 or 5 times.
Interesting.
So there is that part too, where that newer, smaller stuff will start getting reused on chips that aren't using the more advanced stuff at the moment, but they'll be able to produce more of it on the same, because the silicon comes in 300 millimeter rods that they literally slice, that then they do all the lithography on to produce the chips. So as soon as they start using all that on some of the older chips that aren't, they'll be able to produce more of them and they'll be cheaper.
Well, Dan doesn't agree. He says he doesn't see Japan jumping in, putting their head in the pot. And they would rather sell their cameras and allow. See, that's what I'm trying to say. I just don't see. I think they're going to look at it eventually and saying the time and the effort and, with the research and development, setting up the factory line for a new drone each time, getting it working right, making sure that there's no bugs in the system, spending all that time doing all that the profit margin is not going to be what they were wanting, and they'll say, fuck it, and move on. That's just what I'm saying.
That was the same thing.
It's more complicated or harder for companies to build drones and cameras?
Come on, the same thing happened in
Why aren't more doing it
then? Same thing happened at VCRs. We had 2 manufacturers, and then you had 20 people all making it for diamonds. The same thing happened in phones, right? You had Apple and who else, and then 5 years later you had 20 manufacturers all making smartphones. Yeah. The same. This is just how technology stuff works. The same thing's going to happen at some point, even to the drone stuff. It'll be dime a dozen parts to throw the drone together.
So, in order for there to always,
is there other technologies like drones that kind of a niche market that have survived for a long time?
Well, that's what John's trying to. That's what John's saying. He said there's always going to be a profit margin. What I'm trying to say is the only way there's going to be a profit margin is if you keep raising the price.
You're also missing the 800-pound gorilla in the room that you haven't talked about. You've talked about R&D in that, right, with drones. Mm-hmm. What's going on in the world right now that is very, very drone centric, that has every large military on the planet?
The war in Ukraine.
The militaries are going to invest in drone technology, and that will come to the consumer world. The R&D is going to be coming.
That'll help bring the price of R&D down.
It'll help bring the price down. I'm telling you, as militaries around the world invest in drone technology, and there's more companies that jump into that technology will work its way down.
And there's no shortage of funds for military.
No shortage of funds, especially after what's been going on over there in Ukraine. There's going to be no shortage of R&D dollars for drone technology.
What are you talking? My wife's called me worse than that. I think all our wives have called us worse than that.
And that was on a good day, right, Bill?
Yeah, exactly, man. I got steak for dinner that night.
See, the more we talk about this, the more ideas that cross my mind, Bill. Of things that impact it and that are going to impact
there could be
the
a little
industry.
lull in drones for a while before all this stuff kind of levels out?
24, 25, right? With the chips and the chips.
That's what he's predicting online. The resurgence of drones.
Well, that's everybody likes a happy ending.
That. It's not going to die out. I just don't think it's going to die sort of like you envisioned it sort of dying. But
I still think it's going to, I haven't seen the prices of drones coming down. I've seen them going up and up, and the toy drone market is all shit now. There used to be, remember when you could get a SEMA and it would fly fantastic, and now you can't find a drone that's worth a damn that's a toy now.
Hey, Bill, I used to be able to buy a dozen eggs for $3. It now costs me $7. So, yeah.
I don't pay that.
Not just a drone. It's not just a drone problem.
And by the way, our gas started coming down too. It already dropped 30 cents a gallon.
Oh,
I don't know about yours, Caleb, but ours did.
Well, that's an every winter thing.
I don't think is winter blend cheaper, really?
Gas is always cheaper in the winter because there's less people traveling.
Less people traveling, less vacation.
So why do they call it winter blend?
That's for the pollution.
Okay.
But you got it right after Labor Day, gas goes down because
exactly.
People aren't traveling now.
And at Memorial Day, it mysteriously goes up.
Do you really just wait a minute? Here we go. What's John saying? Maybe it's shit compared to DJI.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. So one of the questions I've kind of had, Bill, is so you keep saying the hobby, you're going to be priced out of the hobby. What constitutes a hobby drone to you? Because you can go buy a drone at Walmart for $20. You're not going to be priced out of that anytime soon. You're flying for fun, right?
I got what you're saying. And I have bought, say, 3 drones for my grandson. None of them work now. I have a SEMA X5C-1 that I can still fly. So what I'm trying to say is that the time and the effort that they spent to build it and the time and the tech and the research that they did to build it made it. Everybody you talk to talks about one of the best beginner drones, even to this day, is still the SEMA X5C-1. Mm-hmm. Always. Any people that you hear talking about it, they talk about one of the best introductory drones you can get, and that's the one they name. Okay, name any of them that have come out since then that you would compare to that model that you would mention to someone talking about a good beginner drone.
How much was the SEMA?
$50.
Well, it's 50 now, but when it came out, it was close to 100, I think, Bill.
Yeah, but how many years ago was that?
Yeah.
Well,
okay, it's okay. We'll still let it go. A manual flight drone for $100 with what was it, 720p?
I doubt that. I doubt it had 720p. Probably, it was lucky to have 480.
So, are the 3 that you bought your kids, were those $100 drones?
One of them was actually the Tello.
Oh,
so yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And then another one was, I showed you all the little handheld kind of. It was like encased.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
Yeah,
good point. It didn't have an app. It didn't have
literally a gimmick toy drone.
Wait a minute. I thought it did it because you had it. Oh, that's right. It just went straight to the card, and you just took it straight off the card.
Yeah.
Or okay,
it's brushed and it's still working.
The SEMA
not flying enough.
What was it? 8? Was it the 8?
Yeah, had the bigger one. Yeah, the Phantom
had the app.
One.
Didn't it have an app?
Not the first models, anyways.
It cost him $75 in 2014. Okay, so
I mean, but he may got Amazon. He maybe got it on sale. I'm going to say, but when I first saw it, it was up towards $100 if you didn't catch the right sale. Uh-oh.
Hey guys,
catch that angel wave.
Yeah, so they had an app. Oh, and remember my little one, my little bitty one that I used to fly all the time.
Angel was waiting for a ferry, caught a ferry, and drove home. And I've been sitting here the whole time.
What ferry are you waiting at?
The Edmonds,
We're
Oh my
it's
God.
the 3-hour wait.
474 here now.
Oh, good God. I pay like $4.
You
And
pay
then-
$4 over there? Really?
I get
Gas prices are sub $4 in New Jersey.
I get
Oh, man, they're
75
killing us
cents
over here.
off, and then I usually only buy it when I also have like 20 or 40 cents off with Safeway too. So
Yeah,
I usually have
I
about
usually-
$1 off gas.
Yes, that's the Cheersons.
Cheers.
The Cheersons. And they had an app and everything, man. They were cool as shit.
But
And-
the
and
little
this is-
cheap, the little cheap Cheersons flew good too. The $20 ones.
And here's another interesting
Kids,
question. So if I'm semi right about Hubson and Femi sort of scarfing up the leftover chips, right?
Mhm.
Kind of
Being
thing.
strange as usual.
How long will it be before the chips that they're scarfing up will allow them to produce a drone that is as good as what we have today?
Oh, I bet that was cool.
In
All
2
right,
to
that's
3,
a-
in
that's-
2 to
that's a
3,
tough
in 2 to
question.
3,
Ne-
in 2
never.
to 3,
Never.
in 2 to 3 years, they may be buying the chips that DJI is using now because they're buying up leftover and they're getting them for next to nothing. That's kind of what happens with the technology.
Right.
Caleb,
I think the problem
he would always give me hell like you would.
in particular, they try to come out with
He
the
was like,
drone
no.
with all
Never gonna go
they try to make the drone, feature wise as packed as DJI, but they don't have the chips to run all those features.
Bingo.
So then
Exactly.
as a subpar drone, they get a bad reputation. They should just make a lesser drone, sell it for less money, and kind of grab that middle of the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. That's why it's not working, because they're buying the older
strange young man.
CPUs. They're buying the
strange
older
young
CPUs that don't have enough power to do what they're doing. So
Yeah, and again, I think they'd be better off making a more affordable, less feature drone that worked well.
Oh, did you hear this? He's saying
Take
Caleb's
offense.
the youngest. Caleb's the youngest.
No,
So the youngest.
because he used vertical.
I'm the
Yeah,
youngest
he's-
because I'm trapped in line at a ferry. It's totally my age.
Oh, that's the end of the hobby.
Everybody heard that? Just ended.
Well, hey, Bill, if that's the end of the drone hobby, what will this do to action cameras from people like
Take
DJI
that back.
and GoPro?
That was
Will
the
they
end
be
of
able-
remote ID.
Well, that's true.
And that's another interesting thing with GoPro.
I'm going
ever
to
take
predict there will
another
be no
swing
remote
at the
ID
drone
in
world.
2023.
Good evening, attention all drivers and passengers. We will be loading momentarily for the
He's boarding.
Now, are you boarding or you still have to wait?
Thank you.
We're gonna.
No, he's
Actually, I'm pretty sure I'll board.
oh cool.
I'm in line 2, but I am near the end. But usually the first 2 lines definitely all go. So I should be good.
Yeah, I was worried for me.
The new show
John,
mantra-
instead of being drone therapy, we'll be something else therapy.
Well,
Bill.
no. Don't you know? Remember the new mantra? It's not just a drone show.
Yeah. We'll really be expanding our horizons in a few years when we get to. We don't have to worry about drones that much.
Well,
It'll
we're
be
all gonna
squirrel
need more
therapy. Squirrel therapy.
They'll give us
Whatever
a
hits
reason
us.
to need
Late
the
Angel,
therapy.
what's your opinion on all of this?
On what?
End of the hobby.
The end of the hobby thing.
It was a nice clickbait title.
Clickbait. I haven't heard
Somebody
that
kept
before.
up with what was going on,
I
man.
haven't heard that
I
before.
was like, this fucking guy right here.
Oh, there goes our monetization, Bill.
No. It's good. It is interesting because you see from time to time, people questioning, like, if they do make remote ID very hard for people to comply and people start flying illegally. That would be not a good thing. And yeah, much similar to Sky. It doesn't make sense for them to basically give up on $1 billion market. But, I'm assuming one day somebody's going to be like, hey, you guys got to stop your flying. You're having too much fun out there.
Well, my theory was it was going to be priced out, that it was going to become a rich man's hobby. That's what I've always explained and always said. And this is the time of day that my phone rings like crazy. Ain't nothing I can do about it. I know, props off. Glad to have you in the house. But yeah, I'm just saying, and like Ron was saying, I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I think it's going to slowly happen over the next 5 to 10 years. And it's just going to, because we already know that we didn't get the safety issue with remote ID.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that even though they only have about a third of the modules ready in March, they're going to shove remote ID down our throats. So they're not really going to care, I don't think. Does anybody here think they will delay remote ID again? Because they're not going to have the modules ready.
They probably will. They'll just have to wait till they get closer and see how they do.
They won't be. They've got to produce. What was it Greg came up with? Each one's got to produce like 2,000 a day. And right now, the most that they're producing a day is 125.
So
That's
in
gotta ramp up
February,
that
they'll
production.
do another extension. That's what they'll do.
I don't know. We'll see.
So
I
there's
still
no
think
need to
that
get
number is
stressed out
super
about
wrong.
it. Yeah,
I
there's
still
no
think
need to get
it was-
stressed out about it.
365,000
Bill,
drones registered.
Back
Not
to
every
the end
single
of the
one of them
hobby.
needs remote ID.
What's going to prevent Angel from flying his Mavic 3 10 years now and not caring whether they make any new drones?
Batteries.
Well, what if a third-party company makes batteries forever for the Mavic 3?
Well, if we're going to really reach, man, what if they make a drone that fits in the palm of my hand that flies for 6 hours and can shoot 8K video?
No, dude, for
Hey,
real.
man,
I would
I
start
like-
making
I like
those
that,
batteries.
Bill. I like
I
that.
got one better
sounds
for
awesome.
you, and Elon Musk would be the guy to probably do it. What if
Oh
they
my
give
God!
you-
I'm tired. Everybody talks. He
what
just
if they
wants
give
to.
you what if you could rent satellite time to take cameras and take satellite pictures from a satellite? You wouldn't need no flying drone, and it wouldn't be a problem, and we wouldn't be interfering with anybody.
Oh, so
I could
Rod
see
just
Musk-
Rod
I
just
could
ended
see
the
Musk
hobby.
doing that.
My
Rod just ended the hobby.
satellites
You gave Musk
cannot
the
take
idea.
the facade pictures I need.
Yeah, what
Ron
about
just
the
ended
side?
Rod just ended
What
the
about
hobby.
the side photos? What are your thoughts on satellites trying to capture,
They're going to bounce it off the
horizontal
lakes. Boing.
They'll learn how to
And-
LiDAR photons so that they can.
And also,
man. Wait,
what kind
better
of
yet.
camera quality are we talking about here with the satellites?
We still didn't talk about why the damn did I miss the part about how the new lens from Apple works?
I didn't.
nobody
I didn't
cares.
see.
I gotta
I
go
didn't see
read
the
that.
15.
I saw it.
I didn't see the
didn't
15
read
info.
into it. Yeah, I didn't.
Yo, I'm
see
ready
the
for it
tech
though.
info on
FPV satellite races. Here I come.
it.
Think
So
we'll use a
we'll-
motion controller?
we're okay. How about this? We'll just skip right past drones and go into flying cars, and we won't need drones anymore, like Rod said.
When we get flying cars, I don't know what you're gonna do
This
with
little
drones. 'cause
Katniss
I
right here,
mean,
guys.
you'll just take your Canon or Sony camera with you in your flying car. You could go take pictures.
Yeah.
So,
Yep, they'll just be for screwing around. You can't tell me if Apple comes out with a $2,000 watch that can take off from his wrist, he won't buy it.
I didn't
Bill's
buy
buying
the
it.
14.
It's an
I'm
Apple drone
thinking-
on
I'm
your wrist, Bill. You know
I'm
you'd
serious. No, I wouldn't, because the wife would get really, really mad.
buy it. Only because of the wife. That
You'd
one's
be
Exactly.
single, is what you're saying. You'd be single.
No, I wouldn't be single. I wouldn't buy it.
Single.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. Well, here's a thought. So they just came out with the GoPro 12, right? They came out with the GoPro 12. I haven't watched the ads, and I know they just came out with the iPhone 15, and I'm usually an every other. I might be interested in the GoPro 12 because my GoPro 10 gives me problems, but I think the iPhone 15, I would just wait because I just got the 14 Pro Max last year.
Yeah, I have the
So
13 Pro Max.
So that
So-
might be time. That might be substantial enough to upgrade.
So I don't even
think-
have I don't think I even have a bionic chip.
and your point, Angel, is my point about the DJI Mini 4 Pro, right? That it pretty much effectively shows everybody that it's time to start skipping generations.
Yeah, you got to skip
in
generations.
in,
yeah,
in
'cause I-
drones.
Right. The Air 3S will have a 1-inch sensor, bitches.
Yeah, because I think eventually the problem is that there's
Will.
only what
And
is
it'll be
going to happen.
Hasselblad tech.
unless you can trade in a drone so they can reuse
That
some
would
of
be
the
sweet.
material. That would be nice. Like GoPro used to do that, but I think the problem is, what do you do with 100,000 cameras? Like,
But that's my argument for the Sony AirPeak, which is the drone is separate from the camera. You're putting a full frame Sony camera on there, and it's the same frame. I think that is a model design that we need in the drone world, where you can just upgrade the camera and keep the same drone.
Nobody wants to do that because capitalism.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's why we have
'cause
the Mini 3 Pro.
The airframe for the Mavic 3, if you could keep that and just swap on a nice camera, I'm like, hey, that totally
was the
good
promise of the Evo 2 Pro or the Evo 2, is that you could swap cameras. They just never produced anything other than the two cameras that they had, but they could have easily done that. I don't know why DJI didn't borrow that camera swap idea for the Mavic 3. They could make more money, sell us more cameras.
Right.
What do you think the camera
exactly.
guys do? They make more money by selling you more lenses.
Yeah, but if they force you to buy the new drone, then you got to buy two cameras.
Yeah.
Well, just imagine if you had the Mavic 3, if you bought the Mavic 3 initially, and then you get a thermal, and then, then you're like, okay, now I need the Pro. Wouldn't it be nice to have just a swappable lens?
Yeah, swap the camera out.
I want to holler out one thing.
Just like you can on the Inspire. You could swap the camera, right?
I want to holler out one thing real quick before I go to the bathroom, because Ron's got something that's spreading apparently. It's my understanding that I talked to Bob Dempsey earlier today, because I noticed he didn't have a show, and he is under the weather. So all you folks that are here and anybody hop over there and give Bob a message and tell him to feel better and everything. And with that, I'm going to let the guys have it again, and I'm going to go run to the bathroom, because Ron, you made me think about going to pee.
Just make sure you mute your mic so we don't hear the diarrhea, No, I mean, it's interesting because, like I said, I personally, my story last week, I had the Mavic Air 2, and then I had it for about 4 or 5 months, and then the Air 2S comes out, and I'm like, well, it's good, but it's not worth the $1,000 plus that you'd have to pay to upgrade. So then I was like waiting for when the next one will come out. It's kind of the same. I mean, I'm doing it because I got children. I can't just go spend money every time new technology comes out. So I would love to do it, but I'm just going to sit here and wait for the next one.
Yeah, I have the S21, so I should have probably got the 23, but I'm holding out to go to the 24.
Right.
Part of the reason I'm holding out to go to the 24 is hopefully the 24 will have the satellite access.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like I said, GoPro had a, GoPro, I have the 10. The 10 does nice. The 10 does get occasionally frozen on me, but I pull the battery out, pop it back in, and it's working fine. I can't look at the video footage on there. That's frustrating, but I can do it on my phone. So you just have to work around, and is it 12 worth it, or should I wait for GoPro 13? I'm not using it enough to warrant purchasing a GoPro 12. So,
and there's kind of an interesting YouTube question that I asked somebody today about this. If now we're in this drone world where people are skipping generations, the sites that make lots of views on sort of their product reviews, what are they going to do when people quit being so interested in looking at the product reviews?
Right.
How are they going to drive traffic when the next new drone is not new and exciting in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah. I mean, if I had the Air 2S and I saw the Mavic 3 Pro, I'd be like, hey, that's a nice upgrade. But to go from a Mavic 3 to a Mavic 3 Pro, I'm like, that seems like fiscally irresponsible for the additional camera.
Unless you could find somebody to buy your Mavic 3.
Unless I could find somebody to buy the Mavic 3 at a good price.
Because I'm thinking about it.
That would make sense. But I mean, I think the thing is unless you can get a good price for it, it's not worth it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not.
Because who knows? Maybe the next generation comes out with 4 cameras on there, 1, 2, 3, and 7.
I don't know. I tell everybody they screwed us by putting 3. I don't know why they just didn't give us the 4/3 sensor with a zoom lens on top.
It's
Sitting
gimmick,
on top of
man. Gimmick,
And
gimmick. Like you said, they
complete
bought all
gimmicks
those
on their
sensors.
part.
They bought all those sensors,
Yeah.
so they have to do something with them. 1.1. The hell, the Mavic 4 is probably going to have a 1/130.
You know how many? Somebody needs to go through and try to figure out how many bloody sensors that is. How many mini 3 anything has been sold, because it's the same sensor on that. How many of the Mavic 3 Pros have been sold, because the 3X is that 1/1/3.
Yeah.
And how many of the
I
Air
don't know. I don't
3s?
have an
How
involved.
many of the Air 3s have been sold? Because the 3X on that one is the 1/1/3.
And how many DJI Action 4s are going to sell eventually with that sensor?
And the Action 4s, that'll give you an idea, a rough idea, how many of those bloody sensors that they bought. Oh,
Here's
by
the
the
mechanical
way,
shutter back.
double that. No, we don't need mechanical shutter. We need global shutter. That's what we need. The hell with global. Or the hell with mechanical shutter.
Well, Rod, you know, everybody loves their 1-inch sensors and mechanical shutters, because we've been taught for the last 10 years that you need those two things.
Yeah,
But he says global shutter is better.
it is, because it's less weight. You have the weight of the physical shutter. You also have a mechanical device flipping the shutter. With a global shutter, it's all electronic.
And Rod, am I correct that mechanical shutter only makes a difference for like a video?
No, photos too, because you'll get
Okay.
bending. You'll get bending. Go watch Frono's photos.
I mean, because
he
for
talked
instance,
about it a lot with his
when I
photos.
have real cameras that have mechanical and electronic shutter, I usually choose electronic shutter because I can shoot more pictures faster.
Yes, but you'll still get straight things aren't straight, like baseball bats, and balls aren't round like soccer balls. And,
Yeah, when you're out shooting the Grand Canyon and stuff, all that stuff doesn't matter, of course.
Well, exactly. It depends on what you're shooting. If you're shooting
Yeah.
high speed things, then the global and mechanical shutter are necessary. In the case of drones, I would make an argument that it's kind of necessary, because if you're doing high speed maneuvers, it will make the video that much smoother.
Right. The video, yeah.
Why add the mechanical shutter if there's global shutter?
Because global is not really completely out there yet. That's what's coming. It exists. They haven't really started putting it in cameras, although there's been talk of them starting to put them in some of the cameras.
So mechanical global shutter is not both. It is a different thing entirely from all three.
So there is no mechanical global shutter. It's just the effect of those two. Mechanical is exactly that. It's a mechanical shutter lens kind of thing. The global shutter is exactly what we have today, but instead of being interlaced in reading the lines on the sensor, it reads the entire sensor in one pass. It's
so
fast enough.
mechanical shutter is old technology. It's on its way out in
Right.
a few years.
It's on its way out.
Yeah.
They want it to
Well,
go
like the
away because of
M3E,
the
for
weight
instance,
that it
is
adds.
the M3E is a mechanical global shutter, is what they advertise it as, and you don't get banding with that. It's what everybody uses.
I
How
think
is that
they're full of
possible?
crap. I think they're full of crap.
It's
I
not
think
possible, right?
I think they're doing a marketing crap. It has the same effect as a global, but they're just playing marketing games with that crap.
How can it have the same effect? Because I don't get any of the rolling banding unless I'm using an electronic shutter.
Mechanical shutter, and global shutter, which is an electronic version of mechanical shutter, is basically what it boils down to. Neither one of those have the rolling shutter. You only have the rolling shutter on what we have for most of the cameras with the sensors that we have today.
So am I just not getting any banding from the mechanical shutter because I'm not going fast enough?
Correct.
So
because of the
drones
amount of
just can't go
time that it
fast
takes
enough.
for the shutter to flip, it reads the entire sensor in the time that it's taking that you're slowing it down so that it can read the sensor in one pass, kind of thing. So now with the true global, you don't have that delay of the mechanical shutter flipping. It can literally read the entire sensor in one pass.
Huh.
It's a little bit like interlaced and non-interlaced with monitors, right? Interlaced monitors, it's only refreshing every other line kind of thing. Non-interlaced, it's doing them all simultaneously. That's kind of the closest thing to describe what a global shutter, how it kind of works.
It'll be like the beginning of Detroit Rock City. Oh, sorry. I thought Caleb was going to start his car.
Did you get on the ferry?
My car is doing funny things with the microphone. Can
Did you get on the ferry, Caleb?
There we go. Yep, got on the boat.
Not
Great.
necessarily.
So how much faster is a mechanical shutter than an electronic shutter?
It's not.
Then why are they so different? I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm really confused.
In the time that it takes for the shutter to open and then close, right? In between. The electronics can read everything that's been recorded on the sensor because of the time that is there.
Right.
In an electronic shutter, there's no mechanical shutter in front of it. So that time that it takes to read that sensor
I actually go
gets
places and fly with Angel,
gets
damn
into
it.
the picture, and that's how you end up with things.
And
warped.
Caleb too.
Yeah, so
You're
I mean,
done.
the
It's
time that the
basically
mechanical
kind of
shutter is
reading
open, though,
interlaced.
the time that the
So-
mechanical shutter is open, that's how much
Right.
faster it is than the electronic being able to do the whole screen.
Correct.
So that's what I'm asking. What difference is it there, I guess?
So the mechanical will always be slower than electronic. Because
Then how are we getting-
let me help, Caleb. So if
How are
you,
we getting
we need
way
to burst a
better
whole bunch of
pictures?
pictures, you may want to go electronic shutter because it takes less time for your camera to recover for the next photo. Does that make sense?
there's a natural delay with the mechanical shutter for the electronics to read everything that's on the sensor, right? So the shutter flips open, takes the picture, it's on the sensor, then the shutter closes and it has to reopen before it can get to the next picture. Well, the electronics are fast enough with mechanical shutter that it can read that entire sensor.
I guess what I don't get then why do you
basically
get
with
more
the
banding with
mechanical
an
shutter, it
electronic
takes
sensor?
right. Basically with a mechanical shutter, you're probably looking at 50, 60, 70 milliseconds for each picture. Electronics shutter, you're talking like 5 to 10 milliseconds, but you get the warping because the electronics aren't fast enough to read the entire sensor all at the same time. The global shutter solves that problem by it reads the entire sensor
And it's also fast.
Because Angel has flown in my backyard, John Coopy.
I have.
Caleb's flown in my backyard too.
When the mechanical shutter opens, how does the sensor behind it, if it's using an electronic shutter still, or if it's reading the sensor line by line, how is it any different than electronic shutter? Just hidden behind a mechanical shutter.
It's not really electronic shutter at that point. It's just how fast can the sensor be read by the time
Maybe
the shutter
that's
opens
why
up.
it's a mechanical global shutter.
Yeah. They're borrowing. They're putting some marketing speak on it. It's kind of what they're doing. If it was a true global shutter, you wouldn't need the mechanical in front of it because you don't need the time. You don't need the time to read the entire sensor. The time for the shutter to flip to read the entire sensor. There would be no flipping point. You're adding weight and cost for no reason.
Did I just hear Rod say smarketing?
Smarketing? I don't know. Maybe.
That's what I was like a smart marketing. Smarketing. That's where it came
think
from.
so.
Okay.
Anyway,
okay, it was just me.
global shutter means that mechanical shutter is no longer necessary.
I still don't understand. But then again, I don't understand a lot of shit. I just babble.
I'll just say go read. There.
Read.
I've tried looking it up. It's confusing.
Why do you
It's
think I
Google.
brought you on here, man? I can go back and watch the video later and understand better. I mean, I get the premise of what you're saying. A global shutter is it emulates a mechanical shutter, and because it's electronic, it can do it faster than an actual mechanical shutter can. So
Correct.
basically, you're saying it's already made it obsolete, is what I'm hearing.
Yes. So keep in mind, the mechanical shutter is that it's a mechanical thing. It also only has so many clicks before you have to replace.
It's a new T-shirt.
That
Smart
in
getting
the cameras and send your Sony or Canon in to
Write
be
that down.
serviced, because the shutter won't flip anymore because it's already hit its click count. It's like click counts on keyboards kind of stuff.
Marketing.
So when you got these mechanical shutters doing 15 frames a second and flipping over, they'll hit their 2 million count pretty damned quick, where you end up having to replace the shutter. So for the camera companies, it's a big incentive because it's a mechanical device that they can get rid of. It's weight inside. It's weight inside. It doesn't wear. It wears out. That's why they went to global. It's not going to wear out. It's all electronic.
Hey, Rob, weren't they all mechanical shutters until the mirrorless camera was invented?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, we got a T-shirt, drone therapy comic book cover art.
You know why I called it the comic book cover art? Because
looks like it's on sale for only $25.99 right now.
Yes, and it has sizes all the way up to 5XL, and it ships everywhere on the planet pretty much.
Now, Bill, let me stop you there. Does the 5X still cost $25.99, or does the price jump up?
Let's see. Wow, look at that! It is still
that's a good deal.
And I think there's a code that it says end of summer 50.
Oh wow!
I'll go find the code. I'll go find the code. But anyway,
and they must have used a global shutter to produce that. Otherwise, you'd have lines.
No,
it'd have lines going through the picture.
That was produced with Leonardo, as a matter of fact.
Leonardo da Vinci?
No, Leonardo AI.
Okay.
And I told it, and like Caleb even noticed the guy out in the water, like he's trying to catch his drone, and then you can see the lightning bolt and everything. But Amy, his girlfriend, was the one that talked about it being, she goes, that looks like a really cool comic book cover.
It does.
So that's why I said, oh, cool, I'll put it on a shirt and then see what happens with it. But there's also, let me go back here. We have glassware. Woo, look at the glass. Look at the glass. It's really sharp, really sharp. Wow. Yeah, cool.
It's looking pretty clean, man.
Can I get that glassware in my prescription?
Look at this. And look at this. Here's the actual coach's jacket.
Oh, wow.
With the drone therapy Cadius on the front, and on the back the full-blown. There we go. Cool.
You can wear that. Cool. You can wear that next time you go to the Seahawks practice.
No, I'm hoping somebody will buy it and I'll make $3 off of it, but that's it.
There you go. We were talking. Remember last week you were talking about somehow putting ads in the videos.
Oh wait! What are we talking about? That's a T-shirt featuring a drone. It's about to become very expensive. At least we're done about.
Well, luckily the drone
that's 10 years from now.
The T-shirts are on sale.
That's I'm glad he said that. You got to say it one more time, Ron, because I've got this thought in my head. But that's exactly what it is. That T-shirt is foreshadowing the future, and you can see the guy, and he's out in the water, and he's chasing his drone, and the drone's flying away. The industry is flying away from the gentleman and leaving him high and dry. Well, not high and dry, but high and wet in the water. Okay, now say that again, Ron.
It wasn't anything important. I don't remember. Just that drones are going up in prices, but our T-shirts are still staying cheap.
Yeah, if I find the code, but I can't remember what the code was. The code's only good for till tomorrow, maybe. Anyway, because supposedly Teespring was going to cover it, but I have to look in Gmail. And well, what are we talking about? Keep talking. actually highlighting the chat, and then suddenly I was.
Well,
talking.
I think we beat the mechanical shutter. I think we beat that into the ground here. If anybody's
my
still
bad.
watching out there,
Have we beat it in the ground? Seriously? We've really beat it in the ground. Where's the damn
But
thing
if they were going to
about?
produce a drone today, yes, Caleb, they would have to put a mechanical. They would have to put a mechanical on it. Global
Okay,
is
there-
still
that summarizes.
global exists. They just haven't mass produced them yet.
Oh, yeah.
And
They're
pretty
at
much
the
we
point that
guarantee
they
the
could.
Mini 4 Pro will have your standard electronic shutter.
Yes. It's at the point that somebody could. It's developed technology. It's just that nobody has implemented it.
Well, that'll
Oh,
play into Bill's thing. Once they incorporate these globals, they can hike the price up a little bit.
The one that does have the one that I read about that does have
They
it,
talk me out of it every time, John.
It was a 1 inch. It was a 1 inch sensor that was a global shutter.
Okay.
Obviously,
All
the
right, thank
bigger
you,
the
Charles.
sensor is,
Appreciate
the
it.
faster the electronics have to be to
Hi,
read
Charles.
Get some
that
rest.
many pixels, right?
Hey, Dre.
So we don't know if they could put a global on a 1/130.
Oh.
Oh, they could. They have a global for 1 inch, which is bigger.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we're talking
So
about
they could
mechanical
easily put it
shutters
on
versus
1 inch.
global shutters.
Yeah.
That aren't out yet.
Sorry. And then what was it we were talking about? What was it? The curved sensor taking over for
That will
mirrorless
come-
sensors?
That will come after the whole global shutter stuff. Eventually, we will get curved sensors, which will reduce the amount of glass in lenses that you need. Part of the reason there's so many lenses and counter lenses in the lenses is because you're projecting
The
around
sun's right in
pictures
his face. Did you
on
get
a
the front of the
flat
boat?
No, I'm in the middle. On the
Okay.
side, though.
Oh.
I'll probably
you're on
use
the side, I was about to
halfway
say.
across.
Hey, that's good.
No,
in case
actually,
he
you
has to go to
should
the
be good.
bathroom.
You-
Hey, just
you
go
should
to
be
the
good.
side.
I don't know. This phone does weird things, but yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Are you crossing the Puget Sound right now?
Yes.
Oh wow, the famous Puget Sound.
You guys want me
Where
to
do you-
take
where-
you on a tour of these boats that break down all the time?
Yeah, really.
Well,
And
do you
then-
have a mechanical shutter? We
Hey,
don't want any.
let's
We don't
not
want
say
any
that
art
while you're
back.
on the boat, man.
Oh, man.
Don't say that while you're on the boat.
Don't say what while you're on the boat. That you're
You
recording.
should not say that the boat's going to shut down while he's on it.
Well,
So,
they
anyway-
yeah.
recording already, so we're good.
Or they'll ground it while you're on it. Even better.
So the next big tech
Ain't that
for
the same one they
cameras-
grounded?
Yeah, the next big tech will be the global.
Anacortes. No, the Anacortes San Juan grounded a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, but there was one that grounded onto Bainbridge too, like 2 months ago.
Oh, that's right. And Bainbridge, yeah. It was a wedding photographer on there, got stuck. And they shot photos. Yeah, it's been great. And then the Fauntleroy one, which I got on like a month ago, that one crashed into the terminal.
Yep. Fun times.
Sounds like
I
don't wanna live in
some
Seattle.
excitement out there on the ferry boats.
They forgot how the boats worked after COVID.
Thanks, Jim,
Oh,
for
good night,
coming and hanging
Jim.
out with us.
Hey, Rod, I've been flying the little Avata more recently.
Oh, you have a Nevada too, Ron?
Well, I got it in the spring, and you know, Rod, I flew it last week, and I checked the time before. I hadn't flown it since July 27th. I went more than a month with that thing grounded.
Yeah.
Oh, you had to log back in, didn't you?
Once you start figuring out, once you get really comfortable flying that thing next to things and through things, you will fly that thing a lot. So,
Rod, for the first time ever, I put it on Descendant Lake and did my own color grading.
He's going up to that.
yeah, I haven't done
There's
that.
a lot of boats. A lot on the boat.
You know who flew well, he posted the video today, but he was flying the FPV drone. Mark. EM drone. He was apparently he must have bought that new DJI kit with the FPV drone. because he was flying it with the motion controller. So I wonder if he bought that new kit that has the Integra goggles with
for $8.99. Yeah, we saw
for
it
$8.99. Right, that deal for $8.99. Because I've been thinking about it, and I'd really like to know if the video was the video that was off that FPV drone, because that was always the knock that Dobo and them had, was that the camera on that FPV was just a little iffy.
So the new one will have a 1/1/3 sensor in it.
Yeah, probably. The next 3 drones from DJI are probably all going to have that sensor on it. So
even the Mavic 4.
Yeah, even the Mavic 4.
But it will be double stacked though.
It'll be double stacked and triple backlit.
And have a global shutter on it.
Yeah, have a global mechanical shutter on it.
That'll be the bee's knees.
And the hobby will prevail.
See, that's why you want the global shutter, because you're adding the weight of the physical mechanical shutter plus the motor.
Quad Bayer global
plus the
shutter
motor
for 4 times the pictures.
Flip the shutter.
Oh yeah, quad Bayer.
Well, Ron, how much is stacking them add to the weight?
How much is stacked?
When they stack them, those sensors, how much does that add to the overall weight?
It doesn't. That's kind of the point. It really does. Or not stacked. BSI adds 0 weight. It's just the order that they manufacture the electronics in the layers, right? They're just flipping.
Just two,
they're just flipping the layers.
An upper deck where the people and stuff ride, and then there's
stacked actually adds.
Are you talking about the
ferry? Yeah, he was wondering how many levels the ferry was.
Because they're putting
3 levels: the car level, the first level, and then the roof.
To read
the what level?
The data. So
say that again.
There's the car level, the first level, and then the rooftop.
Oh yeah, the first deck. Levels were like the restaurant.
The cars.
Oh look, that's left deck.
Stack adds a minuscule amount of weight, because they're inserting.
Oh wow, here we go.
So it reads fast. That's the advantage.
There's the legendary Puget Sound, Ron.
And there's not Rainier.
What do you call dead cat on that mic?
Oh, he had did you see Rainier? He said Rainier. Did you say Rainier? Oh, he's going to go.
That was Rainier. Yeah, that was Rainier. He's going up on the roof deck here.
Yeah.
There's Rainier.
For there, Angel.
3 levels.
3 levels.
Yeah, so there's the roof deck, the main level, and then the car deck down below.
That's the way my ferry is too. It's not very crowded.
How you doing, boys?
Well, they got people probably downstairs because they've been waiting for a while. So there's probably people wanting to eat and stuff.
Oh, they serve dinner.
Yeah,
well, they don't. They serve sandwiches and snack bar. Yeah.
It's a galley.
Snack bar. What?
Yeah, it's just a galley kitchen. Yeah.
Yeah. I've eaten stuff there though. Just the first time I went on one, just to see how shitty it was. I haven't eaten on one.
I mean, I got coffee on the ferry today because I was hurting.
Yeah.
Gourmet coffee.
It's Cafe Vita. It's a local one around here.
Okay.
You mean you're not drinking Seattle's best?
Nah.
Don't forget.
It's good. I mean, they're all good.
More food.
Now he's going back to the car level.
Yeah. Thank you for taking. Now we're on the main level here.
Hey.
There's nobody the main level. Either. Look. That ship's empty.
Yeah, it's quiet. It's quiet.
Oh, Andrew wants to know how the coffee was on the ferry.
Not bad. It's doable.
Well, that's not that.
It's Cafe Vita. It's good.
It's drinkable.
Wasn't that the guy from the wanted poster?
That's the guy.
That one over there
today.
Yeah, him. He's the guy from the wanted poster.
Yeah. Look at all those empty seats, man. You could sit anywhere you want in that ferry.
That's why they're only running 2 or 3 a day. And plus,
Yeah.
it's really they have trouble staffing the damn things, man.
Oh yeah.
That's the problem. Yeah, because my ferry today, Seattle
It
Bremerton,
has a snack
was
bar.
kind
Stop,
of quiet.
Caleb. Let's see the food.
Let's see the food. Watch him. He's gonna fade out.
Did you see the coffee? I didn't see the coffee.
Did you say the ferry was doable? No. He said
The
the
coffee.
coffee was doable.
It's Cafe Vita, and I usually would do a latte, but this is just a regular drip coffee.
Oh, you can get lattes there. Wow.
And it wasn't Angle, it was Angel.
I understood. All my life, I'm used to. I know what they're trying to say.
How was the coffee?
No, he did it for comic relief.
I know.
Well,
Thank you for the tour, Caleb.
Yeah. I hope you
Wow.
grabbed the coffee
Does
line
he-
going through there.
Okay. Are we gonna? I think Dale's gonna be next.
It's about time to go, Bill. I got 10 after 10 here. On the
Yep.
East Coast.
I think it. But next week, I do believe that Dale's gonna be back. And Caleb,
Okay.
have you talked to Archer, or is it just gonna be you? Can you hear me?
Who's Archer?
Oh, the smile on his face tells me that Archer probably will not be joining us next week.
Okay.
So it'll probably be Caleb representing Tesla's drones.
Okay.
And we're hopefully going to have, I think we're going to have Seattle Drone Repair on as well. I'll have to talk to him about it and find out. So it's going to be kind of like a local business kind of deal.
Mhm.
So let me put it back up here.
He's
It'll
back.
be kind of a local business kind of thing. So you were laughing, so I'm assuming that Archer's not going to be joining us next week, right?
I don't think he can hear.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
audio
can't hear
issues.
you.
Do you have the headphones in?
It's
No,
probably
we
too
can't.
windy.
I didn't hear you before. Let's. Can you hear me?
Yeah, he can't hear you. He doesn't have headphones in.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Maybe we should all fly out there and do a show live from the ferry boat sometime.
Okay,
Sure.
we could do that.
Doing it right
Angel,
now.
are you going to be able to go this weekend? Or are you going to be busy? You're not going to be able to go.
My daughter plays at 9:30,
Ah.
and then I could potentially come up, but the problem is I got to get her to come up with me. That's my only problem.
Did she like? Did
Because
she like
I'm
drones?
solo. I'm solo this weekend. If I can entice with something, she might be game. My son will come up and fly FPV. It's just that she's the one that's the outlier here, because she would
Well,
rather
you're
just.
going to be
She's now
right
10.
there.
She'd rather just take.
rather just what?
Oh, she'd rather just play on a computer now or an iPad instead of doing anything interactive.
Okay, gotcha.
And I might take them. So the last few, I might go back to Mount Rainier this weekend and do, astrophotography again.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Yeah, let me show you one of the photos we took this weekend.
So
Want me to
wait a
share
minute. Let me. You go ahead and get it ready. Caleb, did you hear what is? So it's just going to be you next week, or did you talk to Archer?
Archer should be there, and the Seattle people should be here.
Excellent. And hopefully we'll have Dale next week. We'll be all local drone businesses in the Pacific Northwest, which will be really, really cool. And
Bill,
of course,
Bill, I'm going to run. I'm going to say my good nights to everybody. Thanks to everybody on the panel tonight that joined us, and everybody in the chat that contributed to the show, had many great questions and comments. And we will see you next Wednesday. Maybe that'll be for a pro day, Bill.
Ron,
Yes,
give me one
I
sec.
do.
Give me one sec. Give me one sec, Ron. Give me one sec,
He wants you
Ron.
to see this
Look at the
picture. He
photo.
wants you to see this
Ron,
picture.
Look at the photo. Look at the
He wants you to see
photo.
this
Hold
picture.
on.
Oh, there we
Nice.
go. It's coming in.
Did you take that with a drone or your real camera?
That's with the real camera.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Oh.
Beautiful, Angel.
Yeah.
Did you?
Look, is
Well,
that
we're
drone-
getting better.
is that the city in the
Ron
bottom?
said
the bottom,
drone or real
left-hand,
camera.
right-hand corner?
Oh,
So the yellow light on the bottom left is Paradise, and on the right is kind of showing Tacoma. The light from Tacoma.
Okay, you said Paradise.
That's sunrise. This is sunrise right here.
Nice. Beautiful work, Angel.
It was spectacular.
Okay, you can
So-
go home now, Ron.
See you next week.
All right, Ron, have a good
See you
one.
next
all right?
week, Ron.
Thank you.
Yeah, Angel needs the opposite of global shutter for that photo. As long as the
Yeah.
shutter hangs open for that picture.
Yeah, no, it came out spectacular. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah,
So,
it did come
we're
out
just
really,
having
really
fun.
good. But next week, like I said, we're going to have local businesses of the Pacific Northwest. Hey, that sounds good. Drone businesses of the Pacific Northwest. Come on, let's get a title really quick before everybody takes off, so we can
What
all
would it look
agree
like
on.
if you got an electronic shutter to only do the one frame over 30 seconds? So it would take like 2 seconds for the top frame and 2 for the next frame. Ultimate
Only
roll
not
rate.
enough twice to that. What do y'all think? What do y'all think of a name for? Because like drone
Your
businesses.
local drone business. Support your local drone businesses. Northwest
So kind
edition.
of, so kind of like support your local drone channel, but support
Yes.
your local drone business.
Support your local drone business. Yes.
All right, very cool. Anything? What do you got coming up, Angel? Anything you're going to throw up this week?
I've been busy as hell, so I'm just trying to survive. I have I got a lot of stuff. I've been doing some astrophotography and having fun, and we're just
See what
hopefully,
comes out.
like I said, I'll make it out this weekend.
All right, Ron, what about you?
Saturday mornings, I play school bus during the week, so I'm busy with
Very
that.
nice.
So the only time I really get to fly is Saturday morning.
And Caleb, I know you're super busy this week. What do you got going on? What are you doing this week, Caleb? I know you're super busy.
Return to your vehicles. Hang on, come back to me.
For your safety before we neuter you. I know that. It's like, gentlemen, start your engines. Moonshine in the back.
Hopefully the guy in the front isn't drunk and hits the gas pedal before the gate's down.
But anyway,
Yeah.
so I don't know if he could hear us or not, but we'll be having the local business show next week. Support your local business, local drone businesses next week. And then so you all come on up and join us, and we'll see some stuff going on in the Pacific Northwest. And as usual, we'll be crazy and loony as always, or at least I will be. You know that. That's guaranteed. Oh, he's in the car. He's in the car. Okay, so
Yeah, you think so?
now, so we're going to do support your local drone businesses next week. And he was wanting to say Northwest Edition or Pacific Northwest Edition.
Yeah,
just
it's
Northwest
edition.
Okay,
Yeah,
Northwest Edition.
Northwest edition.
Okay. And I will
And then maybe people can share the links for local businesses in their area, and they can spread.
what I'm going to do is, as long as once we get everybody confirmed, I will make sure that those are the prominent links for the show next week, so that everyone. Hey, Brad, good to see you, man.
Yeah, Angel's got a cool idea there, though. You could always do one of a different place too. Sometime, be like drone places of California. I'm sure it's easy to find 8 companies down there that do drone stuff.
I'm totally fine. Anybody that's willing to gather up those people, it would be fantastic, because this is happened because they contacted Caleb, and we already have Dale, and then Dale and Caleb both own drone businesses. So now we're adding a third. So we're it's kind of like the usual show, but we're adding another person with a business or two.
All good.
So, well, anyway, with that being said, I haven't played this in a while. So we'll do the outro. How about that? If I can remember which one it is. Is it that one? That's the one right there. Woo! All right. So please come back and join us next week. What now?
Check out and support the Northwest Trolls. Look it up. It's cool.
Oh, okay.